Good evening. Good evening. Congratulations. Welcome back. Tuesday again. And we back at it, creative finance with JB. I know some folks was kind of looking at this relationship thing, and we're entering into a new year, and people want to get their lives together and figure out what's going on, before it's too late. But the best thing about it in this relationship deal is that we're able to get ourselves together, get in a good perspective, prepare ourselves for Dr. Howell's back with us again. I was going to save him for that love month in February, where we can really start working on that. But, we had to kind of think about we're entering a new year, new goals, new motives. People want their lives changed. They want to do something different and build relationships and develop good relationships. And that's some of the stuff we got to discuss now, because we have a lot of people out here that struggle, depression, anxiety, just want to be free from the bad things that happen, can't even understand why their relationship is where it's at with their family, friends, job, what's happening, or broken relationships that we have that has not went on. So I'm going to come back and, just hit Dr. Howell up with a couple of these questions that we have pending for us, and some stuff that folks want to know. Doc, on the last conversation, you were very direct and good information on how to establish that relationship to keep it going firm. But the thing of, how do you remove the negatives of a relationship that you're rekindling? I mean, how does that happen? Need your speaker. Can't hear you. You on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Very loaded question. A lot of times people go into relationships expecting certain things out of that relationship. And I think that is a very self-centered way of living, because now I know that all relationships start off kind of selfish or tit for tat or trading. You have something I want, I have something you want, and we kind of bargain and try and get what we want out of it. But I think for relationships to grow and become healthy, you have to move from a self-centered way of living your relationship to a values-based way of living a relationship. And then from a values-based way of living a relationship to a selfless way of living a relationship. So let me explain that a little bit more. We cannot get over the fact that we are selfish by nature. And if I'm quiet and you're loud, or you're more outgoing, I might be attracted to that. So I want some of that from you, but you might want my level-headedness. And so you want that from me. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in what I want out of the relationship versus what can we build together. And so when I mentor people and coach people and consult with people, what I talk about is, what do you want your long-term goals to be in life? And does that person have similar goals, visions, and dreams? Because to me, a relationship is more of two people taking a journey of life together, and we complement each other and we help each other out and we add value to each other. And so at the beginning part of the relationship, we both have something that we want from each other, but we're supposed to do what we call mind mapping. I ask those questions that kind of get deep into what are you about in life and what are you trying to achieve in your life? And then I am trying to find ways to assist you with that. And you're doing the same thing for me, and you're trying to find ways to assist me with that. So if I'm a depressed person, I'm still working on my depression, but I know you have a depression problem. So I'm going to try and find ways to help you deal with that. But my job is not to get you out of depression. That's your job. My job is not to make you happy. My job is to give resources and give things that will stimulate you to continue your journey. But I have my own problems. You have your own problems. So I can't live your life for you and try and get you out of your problems. That's your job. But if we're both trying to achieve something together, then I can help you along the way. But it's still your responsibility. And so at the end of the day, we have to do stuff ourselves. There's no way around that. You know, we are responsible for our own happiness. We are responsible for doing our part in the relationship. And if ever you say to yourself, this person is lucky to have me, you're starting the process of being toxic.
Wow.
You're starting the process of being toxic because now you're saying, I'm not going to do my part. Now, you may not say it verbally, but you're mentally thinking, I don't have to play my position. I don't have to play my role because I'm the prize.
Right.
And that's where toxicity rolls in. And I think all of us have a little bit of toxic in us that if we're not careful and if we don't focus on our goals and on our combined dreams, we can get there. So, for example, my wife and I, we've been married for over 32 years. And in those 32 years, the last 5 years is where we decided to focus on our long-term goals. So we want our retirement house, and our retirement house has to be a certain way. So everything that we're doing now, financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, and everything, is gearing us towards that combined goal. We both had what we wanted, and we both compromised. That's another thing I want to say. If both y'all feel like you've given up a little something to get to your long-term goal, then it's a healthy relationship. But if one person is getting everything they want, chances are the other person isn't. And that can take you down the road of a imbalance or toxic relationship. And so now when my wife and I, we get disagreements, because even in healthy relationships, you will have disagreements. But what makes your relationship healthy is how you problem solve. And so, I'll give you the strategy for free that I do. So, I have this thing called the 20-minute rule. You know, my wife might do something to get me upset. And I say, babe, give me 20 minutes. And I'm in my feelings for 20 minutes. But after 20 minutes, if it's not worth giving up our joint goals, dreams, and aspirations together, kick those emotions to the curb and let's move forward. But if you let it go 24 hours and you fall asleep and you go to sleep angry, you wake up the next morning, guess what's in the full effect? Egos. I don't want to be the first to say sorry. You don't want to be the first to say sorry. And so now a little problem becomes a bigger problem. And that's where that toxicity starts to take root and it starts to go downhill.
Wow, that's amazing, And tell me, is that the same in business relationships? So, you got people that's been partners in businesses for a while, and they might have had that disagreement where the money, the money that changed the whole circumstances. I mean, can that be redone? Because me and Mr. Howell in business together. Nah, bro. What happened is we lost this $5,000 because of you did this. Can I put that 20-minute rule on that?
Yeah, because think about it. At some point in time, you gonna mess up too. The problem is in life that we like to one up each other. and we like to have something over each other, whether it's business or whether it's intimate relationship or business relationship or social, professional, whatever. At the end of the day, we like to have something on other people. But that's not a win-win situation. That's a win-lose situation. And anytime there's a win-lose situation, there's somebody in their feelings and someone feeling superior. And that can lead to a toxic relationship. If you look at all the boy bands that broke up, let's start with New Edition. You know, you had people who thought they were better singers than others, and then when they went solo, they came out with one album, and that was it. But then you had Bobby Brown making hit after hit after hit because he was an entertainer, but nobody thought that he would do better than Ralph because Ralph was the lead singer.
Right.
You know, so when you start looking, Boys to Men had creative differences too. Creative differences basically is a term that they use. It's a catch-all term that means I wanted my song to be sung and I wanted to be up front singing it, and you told me no. So now I want to go out and make my own money and show you I'm better. Well, life can always work out for the people who do that. You know, and so in your business relationship, I think that things can go a lot further when two people unite versus one person, because you will always have blind spots.
Right.
Whether it's personal, professional, intimate, or whatever, you will always have blind spots. So when you think that you can go it alone, you got to have your eyes in the back of your head, man. And that's simply not possible. At some point, you will mess up.
So it's gonna happen. You know, nobody's perfect.
Exactly.
You know, you're gonna have that. You still can apply that 20% rule in the business effect of, you know, going through to see if you're gonna still be a partner, if you can get through it, or, you know, is it even worth to get along, you know. And folks, you know, that's watching this, they're probably thinking about their business now, because they probably know during this year and during COVID and coming through this year, you know, they had some business relationships that went down because of people seeing a different way to operate, or they say, hey, I'm going to be independent. You know, I'm not going to worry about what they did before. You know, I'm going to just leave them alone. Can I really isolate even business / personal relationship and still be okay with myself? Or is that some toxic in that person?
You can be good by yourself, but doing a business by yourself, nobody ever got wealthy being a team of one. Right. Bill Gates had people around him. Elon Musk had people around him. You know, Jeff Bezos, all of them had teams at some point in time. Yes, they might have left their teams eventually, but that groundwork is very, very essential. And the reason that's essential is life is nothing more than a bunch of systems in place. And unfortunately, we are not always privy to the systems that mess us up or give us success. And sometimes it takes a team to get a system in place so that a business can run efficiently. Let's look at the business world, for example. Every major business has a mathematical section. There is an equation that runs every business. With your losses, your expenditures, your theft, and everything. If you look at insurance companies, they have an equation as to how things work. Every business has an equation. Right. And if you're not a mathematician and you just fumbling through business, you might be the most creative person, but that don't mean that you're money savvy. Or that doesn't mean you have good customer skills. Right. Some of the best doctors have horrible bedside manner. You know, and so they need teams of people to kind of buffer that part. Right. I'm a little out there. My wife is a little quiet. We need each other to balance each other out. Over the 33 years that we've been married, she's come out of her shell more, and I've quietened down some. but it's a good thing because I was a little out there before.
Mm.
It was a little too quiet before, and so a lot of times we get into relationships because we like what the other person offers, but it takes us out of our comfort zone and it drives us crazy. And if we don't remember the reason why we connected with those people, it is easy to say they drive me crazy because they're just too carefree. They're just too quiet. They're just too loud. They're not good with money. Remember the reason why you were attracted to them, even if it's in business. They're too cheap. That's why you operating in the black, because they're cheap. Every idea you get, oh, let's change the whole office around and let's check. That might be $50,000 to $100,000 every 3 years. Is that necessary to paint and redo all the furniture because you get an idea? Is that financially responsible?
Right.
And so we sometimes, you creative, but you need somebody to rein it in from time to time. But it will drive you nuts when you really think you have a good idea.
Right.
And so you have to be careful. Going it alone, no man's an island, man. You will need somebody, and nobody likes a one-man band, man. You ever seen them people in the in the subways? They got the drums, they got the guitar, they got they do all sorts of stuff. It's good for a minute,
right?
But can you do that for the rest of your life? Can you do that for the next 10 years?
Right.
A couple of people to kind of make it less hectic,
Right. And we're gonna talk about people making these resolutions for New Year's.
I don't like them. I don't like it. Let me explain the reason why. Your resolution should come when it comes. It should not be for the beginning of the school year.
Right.
It can be for the beginning of the month. It could be for the beginning of the week. It could be for the beginning of the quarter. But suppose you messed up in July, you're going to wait all the way till January to start anew. You're going to waste a whole 6 months because you're waiting for the new year.
Right.
And that's why a lot of New Year's resolutions fail. Number one, you don't have a strong enough why. Number two, you don't have a strong enough vision. Number three, you don't have what I like to call HQP, high quality people around in your circle. You have a whole bunch of like-minded people who fumbling around with the same blind spots, and so you keep running into the same problems. Sometimes when it comes to business, you're going to have to hire some people that get you out your comfort zone, people that drive you crazy. If they can explain to you why that's a good idea, or if they can explain to you why your idea is not a good idea, you have to trust them and their expertise enough to go with what they are saying. There's a guy by the name of Jim Collins. He talks about getting the right people on the bus. Imagine your business is a bus and the CEO is the driver. The purpose of the CEO is to give the vision and the outline to everyone, but he opens and closes the door. So his job is to make sure only the right people get on the bus. And if you have employees who are not the right people, his job is to make that culture so toxic for them. In other words, they're so uncomfortable with being on that bus that they get out that bus as fast as possible, because one bad person, one bad employee can jack up your whole system. My wife cannot stand when we go to the restaurant and the greeter does not have good personal skills. And she says, this person is costing this company a whole bunch of money, because the first person you see as you go into a restaurant determines the rest of that experience. Well, they set the precedence for how the rest of that experience is going to be. And a lot of people don't make it past that first person. So if that first person has a bad attitude, you're losing a bunch of money.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I do not like New Year's resolutions because it limits you to 365 days at a time.
That makes sense. That's good, you know, and it's been happening for years. You know,
Yeah.
man, I'm writing these down. At the end of the year, I'm gonna check to see how it's gonna go. And I think one of the biggest things, and just thinking from the business standpoint here, putting the business hat on, people want to learn how I go out here to really build relationships. You know, my social skills ain't the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to kind of visualize who I am. So, how do I really brand myself to being social if I'm in business?
Listen, the best thing you can do is to become comfortable with understanding what your social strengths are and play to your strengths. A lot of times we see somebody out there, or we see a company that competes with us, and we see them doing a certain thing, and we try to one up them.
Mm.
If you are a Walmart, don't try to be a Kmart.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Target never competed with Walmart. They always tried to be a step above them.
Mm.
Okay, our prices are going to be a little more expensive because we catering to another set of people.
Right.
So a lot of times we try to outdo whoever is winning instead of playing to our strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one of my biggest examples is this. People used to Skype. A lot of people used to Skype back in the day.
Right.
A lot of international people were
Yeah.
Skyping, right?
Yep.
But you would have thought that when COVID came, Skype would have had that market cornered.
Right.
But they didn't.
Mm.
Everybody else came in and took in that, you know, which one? Zoom came in and took over, right? You don't hear nothing about Skype, but for 10, 15 years before, Skype had that market. What happened?
Right.
What happened?
They didn't change.
So at the end of the day, your strengths are your strengths, and you got to play to your strengths. Skype did not play to their strengths, and they lost in the economic market because Zoom came in and took over. This platform right here, was it StompYard?
Yeah.
Right, came in and took over. We're the Skypers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so play to your strengths. So if you are hospitable, be the spokesperson, be the greeter, be the person who is the front of the company. If you're a numbers cruncher, stay in the back, because most of the time, numbers crunchers, you're a little too brash with people. You're a little too, you know, abrupt. So stay out of the spotlight. You know, play to your strengths. But if you have a company, if you are a solopreneur, you need to have high quality people around you that are good where you're weak. And you need to have people who will talk to you, and you need to trust them and what they're saying to make your company better. So look up what the social skills are, figure out which ones you're good at, and then stop trying to find friends that you just bump into. Go out and say, hey, Johnny, you're good with finances. Can we have lunch? Can we have coffee? Can we have dinner? I want to pick your brain. And I talk to you to find out where I am lacking in my business and say, hey, once a month, can we consult? You know, I'm good at this. You might need help with this. Can we trade off with each other? Or can I hire you part-time? But stop trying to get friends that don't know what they're doing to tell you what you're doing wrong in your business.
Right.
Everyone around you should be an expert in their own field, and you all should be helping each other. And that's what your resolution should be about. You know, once a quarter. Oh man, Johnny came up with this good idea, team, and I don't know who can use this in their business, but it worked for me this quarter, and so I just want to share the fact that this is something that Howell, you might want to look into this because it worked for me, and my company grew 15%. You know,
Mm.
so that's what we need to be doing. But say, and like you told me that there's a program coming up this month, a
Yeah,
bank,
for nav vets.
right? Yeah, and so if I'm pushing my company, if I'm not good with people, I need to hire someone who will run those tables for me. I need to hire someone and train them to explain what I do properly instead of me trying to do it myself and scare a lot of people away or
Mm.
bore a lot of people away.
So Doc, I want to ask this question: what's the best way to kindle a relationship? Business, professional. Because we all got different types of way we deal with stuff and then how we deal with people
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. How do we kindle those relationships, the good ones we probably have, to keep them going so they won't seem so lackluster, or it's almost like a repetition of how I act when I get around. It's how, hey, what's happening, buddy? And then, but I still same thing, and it's the same type of
Mm-hmm.
joking or behavior that we have instead of enhancing it. Like I said, Dr. Howell, I know we doing some business together. Tell me your thoughts on this, and you're like, oh yeah, we always talking about that, but how do I kindle that so it can grow, that relationship?
Be intentional. Know what you want and be around people who know what they want. Be around people who have a 5, 10-year, and 15-year plan. Pick their brain and see what they need. And in the same way you can do mind mapping. Mind mapping is nothing more than asking intentional questions so I could learn more about someone who is important to me. So if your business partner or people that you want to help you, if they have something that you want, then all you need to do is ask deliberate questions. What can I do to help you and your business? Or you can say, Johnny, I'm good with relationships. You're good with finances. How can we help each other? Well, you know what? I think I can help you and your team work more in synergy. And then you can say, well, I can come in and figure out what your bottom line is and blah, blah, blah. And then we start from there. So now we're both giving each other value. If you look at lawyers always have a paralegal, one or more. Lawyers also have investigators, one or more. Lawyers also have friends that are judges and they know their personality. So when they say, man, which judge is on the docket? Oh man, oh yeah, this is gonna be a tough case because you already know that judge's personality. You know their wants and their needs, their likes, their dislikes, their triggers and stuff like that. Same way with each other. If I want to be in business with you, or if I want you to be more willing to help me, I gotta sweeten the pot. And that's why I said we gotta go from a selfish relationship to a values-based relationship. Because when it's values-based, you're getting something out the deal. I'm getting something out the deal. It's win-win. And so if I'm helping you every month or every quarter, you're not going to mind as much if I need a little bit more help than usual, because you know that when you fall short, you can come to me and I will give you that extra, that, the next month or the next year or whatever, whenever it is you need me to step in and help you out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, because my brother-in-law and I, we're like that. We talk once a day and we talk business about what we're trying to do for our families for the future. We are intentional about what we want. And just today we're talking about, okay, so if we're going to flip some houses, where are we going to have it? Are we going to have some houses up here in Delaware and you have houses down there? Or are we going to meet in the middle? And he said, well, if we meet in the middle, the problem with that is my team may not want to go to the middle. My plumbers, my electricians, and my handy people may not want to go. So I said, well, then my plan is not going to work then. So let's do some houses here. If we buy one here this month, maybe we'll buy the next one down there that month. Because I have people up here. You have people down there. So we had to rethink it. But I had to trust him. He had to trust me. And then we talked about, well, who's going to be our financiers? Who's going to be the money people? Are we going to have silent partners? Are we going to bring the kids in? And but we have that back and forth, but we are deliberate about talking with each other, but we speak so often that we know exactly what the other person needs, wants, or is thinking. And that's how we have to be in relationships. It can't be, yo, Johnny, give me $10 here. Johnny, give me 1,000. Johnny, give me 2,000. Johnny, give me 10. 10,000, 20,000. And then when you come and ask me for some money, nah, I'm broke this month. Nah, I got it has to be values based, win-win on both sides.
Yeah, and that's so important, especially getting in business. And folks, I don't want to miss the opportunity. Contact Mr. Howe. We talking about relationship building. It's good for your business. It's good for your personal. Contact info, Dr. Siegfried Howell at drsiegfriedhowell@gmail.com. Clapper, and it's going to be at Siegfried Howell, or TikTok at Relationship Success 101. Throw your questions out there. Ask him. Watch some of those tutorials he's throwing up, some of those flyers, because it's interesting information for you to have. I know that in our business and in our personal, relationships are one of the key aspects that we need to grow. In business, in our personal, with our family, whatever we're doing, we can't leave out relationships. Without the relationship, you are on an island by yourself. You are standing there trying to figure out some stuff and have no resources, have no end game to what's supposed to really happen. And then we come around and be like, oh man, why am I like this? Why am I stuck? Can I not talk? Do I sound funny when I'm talking? Or, Doc, do I look weird? Am I too stressed, or am I too stern when I'm having it? We have to have that expert in our face to give us guidance, because sometimes when we choose ourselves, we make the biggest mistakes in the world. We repeat episodes and episodes and don't understand why the growth was. Don't understand where we're going and what we're doing. It's so funny. We was talking about it. I'm at the gym now. I'm swimming, and I'm in my thing. I want to swim alone. And the lady said last night, she's like, "Oh, you want to join the class?" I'm like, in my mind, like, I don't know you. But I'm like, yeah, let me check it out. And she, she's trying to explain. And we start talking. She like, well, I have this 6:50, and gave me the whole schedule. I'm like, yo, when I'm here now, I know I have a purpose and I have a relationship that she can help me with when I'm trying to learn something new, because in that happening. But my mindset was like, why do they want to talk to me? I'm just trying to exercise and get out of here. I really want to minimize this. And that's what happens a lot in business. Dr. Howe, we walk into establishments. We want what we want. Like you said, the selfish mindset. And we're like, yo, they're going to tell me what it is, or I'm getting out of here. Because I want to know straight up what it is right now on this point. But we got to come back and say, you know what? Let's take the time. Let's develop the relationship, because we get more when we start to be nice and understand it, and going from that. I see this a lot in business. I'm going to get all I can get out of Dr. Howe. And when I'm finishing, I got enough, I'm going to walk away. I mean, Doc, how do people even get that concept to where success comes into play with that, or long term?
Look, listen, there's nothing wrong with getting all you can get from a person, as long as it's reciprocated. I can bleed your brain dry, but if I'm doing the same thing for you, you don't feel salty about it.
Right.
So what makes it difficult is where you bleed my brain dry and then you ghost me and I got nothing out the deal. Then you were just a parasite. But I want to go one step further, though. I want to explain two different concepts real fast. First of all, when you have HQP, high quality people in your group, it gives accountability. Because a lot of times we go, then we get discouraged and then we stop. That accountability is that little voice, man. How will he going to chew me up if he knows I didn't go out today? And that lady who got you into the class or talked to you about the class, if you skip a couple of days, you know she gonna come and say, "Oh yeah, I missed you a couple of days," and so yeah, I ain't trying to hear her mouth, so I'm just gonna go do it. That accountability is a big thing, and that's what you miss when you become an island of one. That's the first part. The second part is this: some people need a coach, some people need a mentor, some people need both. A coach is a person who helps you, who's been there before and can guide you through the process. And it's usually day by day or every 2 days or every 3 days. And they give you something to do. They come back and you report to them what happened. They might tweak it and tell you, well, okay, well, let's try this next time and then move forward. Some people need their hand held until they become efficient at what it is they need in that business. A mentor is the person that might say, well, Johnny, try this for the next 3 months. And then, I'll reach back out to you, or you can reach back out to me in 3 months. It's not as hands-on. That means you already got your training wheels on and you're already riding. I'm just going to help you get around that first corner because that first corner is a little tricky. So in 3 months, right before you get to that corner, I'm going to come back and make sure you get around that corner good. And then I tell you, hey, you know what? You're good sailing right now, but in about another 4 months, there's going to be a little dip. And I'm going to come back right before that dip to make sure you have what you need to get down that dip. And then 6 months from now, there's going to be an incline. And I'm going to come back right before that incline to make sure you have all the tools needed to get there. So you see the difference between a coach and a mentor? Some people need a mentor. Some people need a coach. Some people need both. Some people might need a mentor for one part of their business and a coach for another part of their business. And that's why relationships are very important. And that's why those soft skills are very important, because you need to make sure that you don't just take and don't give. Because even if you're paying people money for their services, they still don't want to be treated with disrespect. They still don't want to be treated like they don't have feelings. Because some people are like, I'm paying you, aren't I? And I'm really happy about it. Yeah, but that it's not enough money for the way you're treating me. You know? So those soft skills are very, very important, where people might say, you know what? I can give him a discount because he's almost like family. You know, and some people are like, I'm going to raise that price. I was listening to a podcast one time, and this guy was saying, I think it was Tony Robbins, a guy said, I want you to be my mentor. And he was like, nah, I'm good. I really don't do that anymore. He was like, I'll give you $1 million for X amount of days. He's like, okay, well, maybe I can come out of retirement.
Right, and do something different here.
Yeah. You put their money where their mouth is. So, okay, So sometimes your attitude and the connection will make people do things for you that they wouldn't do for regular people, because you're nice, because you're caring, because you ask them a personal question. So how the kids, is there anything I can help you with? So those relationships are important, man. It can't just be a parasitic relationship, like you said, where I'm going to get all I want out of Johnny, and then I'm going to move on to Bobby. And then when I'm done with Bobby, I'm moving on to Elandia. When I'm done with Elandia, I'm going over there by Dwayne. And I'm just a parasite everywhere I go. Yeah, and when they see me coming, they're running, because they know that I'm going to leech onto them, and they're not getting anything out of the deal.
Right. Right. And that makes sense. When it start to happen and when it start to come around to get it done, to kind of build these things. And tell me this, how do you know when you're building a good relationship? I mean,
that's not your concern. See, if you getting what you need out of the relationship and you're adding value, like for example, in a healthy relationship, I'm not adding value to you because I want value back.
Right.
I'm doing it because I'm a good-natured person. And see, a lot of times that's where the toxicity is. We think that because we're nice to someone, we're supposed to get something back. There are people that are hurting. There are people who are further along in their life journey than you are. There are people who are further behind. I may not be at the point where I can be nice and genuine or even authentic to you because I have a lot of trauma that I'm working through. So in my relationship, I'm going to be nice regardless. Because if it doesn't work and I walk away, guess what? I can say I did everything I could and it didn't work. But the people who live with the most regret are the ones who say, man, if I had just known it would have broken up, I would have done this. I would have done so much differently. And now they live their life looking through the rearview mirror. Whereas if you live your life adding value and being selfless, doing it because it's you and you don't want to give second best to yourself, because when you give other people second best, it creates a habit in you. You become what you do. You become what you focus on. You become what you put out in the world. So at the end of the day, if you put out selfishness out there, you become selfish. And then people look at you and like, yeah, don't deal with him. He toxic.
Right.
So don't worry about whether or not somebody is doing their job. Because when you do your job, it creates a better version of you. When you don't do your job because of someone else, you're letting them dictate who you are becoming.
Right.
And you don't want to do that.
Right.
And that's the way to think of it. You can't walk away feeling good and respectful about yourself because you gave in because they gave in. And you did second best because they were doing second or third best. So you let them change you versus you changing them.
Right. And tell me, where do you think the biggest failure for business relationships start with?
Ego.
Ooh.
Ego. At the end of the day, if I think I'm better than you, if I think my thoughts are better than yours, my ideas are better than yours, and my experiences are better than yours, that creates a seed of discontent. That creates a seed of superiority. That creates a seed of bitterness on both sides. So when I see you come with your idea, I'm like, man, I can't wait for him to lose just so I can just say, look at you. I told you it wasn't going to work. And there are a lot of people in business where people are just waiting for them to mess up because they've sown so many seeds of negativity and discontent and non-harmonious ways of doing stuff, You want people around you who want to lift you up, who want to champion your success. But when you make people feel like they're second-class citizens, everybody's looking for you to fall. Everybody's looking for you to mess up. And when you mess up, rather than giving you a hand up, they're going to kick you down further because they were waiting for that day just to say, I told you you didn't know everything.
Right.
So there's nobody to lift you up when you're on your way down, So now the journey back up to success is going to be even more difficult because now you live in your life of solitude. People don't want to help you.
Do you think part of failures is blame too?
Look, at the end of the day, surround yourself with the right people, high quality people, because I have nothing more to blame. See, when you start doing the blame game, nothing gets solved. But if you understand we all play a role because we're all in it together, then you look at it look to see what you did right, what you did wrong, reframe it, and then move forward. Don't blame anything, because blaming means I'm staying stuck in the past.
Mm-hmm.
How can you move forward if you continue blaming people? If you look at relationships where a male or a female blame their spouse for how it went wrong, that person never ever becomes better, because they're not taking responsibility, active or passive, for their role in the process, their role in the toxicity, their role in the breakdown.
Right.
Did they address it when it needed to be addressed, or were they silent and complicit with it? Were they equally as toxic and say, well, I only scream because you scream. So now if I jump off a bridge, you jumping off the bridge too, or are you going to decide when you're going to do what I do?
Right.
How far are you going to let people change you and change your personality and your way of doing things? So blame, to me, is a waste of time, because it's not productive. And in a business or in a relationship, do the 20 minutes and move on, because it is not going to solve a problem.
And Doc, let's go. For some of these folks out here probably wondering about the services. Ford, is it best to email you? Is it, do they go on TikTok and say, yo, DM me? I mean, what's the best way, and how do we break down what we do? Because you probably have some folks that's gonna hear this show, and they're gonna say, Dr. Howe, I need this for business. I think I'm strong in my personal and stuff, or I'm single, so I'm okay, but in my business, I want to grow. Or Doc, my marriage is kind of, it's been rocky, and I see that it's bending over to my business, and I want to get it resolved, for it. Do you recommend like a session, or, how do you break down those sessions for those type of scenarios?
All right. So I have a method called the peace method, and it works for business. It works for personal. It works for intimate relationships, even works with kids. And the way it works is this: the peace method, the P stands for processes. What are the processes or systems that are positive that you need to build on, or that are negative that you need to reframe, fix, and move forward from? The E is emotional intelligence, or the evaluation. So depending on whether it's a business or whether or not it's personal or intimate, that E can mean evaluation, or it can mean emotional intelligence. So with the evaluation, I'm evaluating my systems to see which one of those systems is off. So for example, am I getting triggered easily? Or am I not showing emotional intelligence or emotional fitness? Am I too impulsive? Is my communication off? So what are the systems that you need to work on to get your relationship right?
Right.
And the A stands for the acceptance of the fact that I play a role in it. So now I have to find what I need to fix in order to show up to this relationship or this business in the right frame of mind, with the right mindset. And the C is the commitment to the change process, because it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. I'm going to want to give up at some point in time, but my commitment and having those HQP, high quality people around me, is what's going to keep me pushing forward. And then the E is the energy that I put forward day to day. Am I a positive person or a negative person? Am I complacent? Am I ready to attack life? Like, so because a lot of times people are in a marriage, but they don't have any energy. They're like, and the husbands or the wives are like, yeah. There's no excitement.
Right.
So the peace method has a business aspect. So I help businesses with synergy. I help business people get along, and I have a series of steps, usually about, not depending on what you want in your business, I can do
Mhm.
a 4-session, 3 hours each, or I can do a 10-week session. When you go 10 weeks, you break it down a lot deeper and we go into what is necessary. But if your business just wants a 4-session way of, quick fixes of what did I observe, what needs to be adjusted, how do we get our mindsets right, and then the expected outcomes. And with the outcomes is immediate, short-term, and long-term outcomes. And so we do that with the relationships, because it's 2 people involved. It tends to take 10 weeks minimum, because there are a lot of things. You have social inheritance. That's things that your family did and your neighbors did and the schools that you grew up did that ingrained in you how you are, your triggers and all that stuff. You got to deal with personalities. You got to deal with emotional intelligence, social skills, how to argue in a healthy way, and not being critical of people, and just remembering that for example, I did a presentation a couple of weeks ago, and I called it Porcupines in Love. And the premise behind it is everybody is a porcupine. And if you hug me without me knowing, you're going to get prickled. And so we all got to find the best ways to hug the people around us, because we all have quills and we all going to get hurt at some point in time. But if we know that it's not intentional, it is easier to forgive. So the person that you choose is the most important part of that relationship, because that person is the person you have to commit every day to staying with. Because they're going to hurt you and you're going to hurt them. But as long as we both know that it wasn't intentional, that 20-minute rule is what we need to do to keep moving forward. But if you get aligned with somebody who's a narcissist or somebody who's toxic and they're hurting you and it's deliberate, now you got to reframe your way of thinking, because if you keep picking people that hurt you deliberately, it's not a them issue, it's a you issue. You are attracting the wrong type of people. So it takes time, whether you're single or in a relationship, to get yourself ready to be relationship healthy. And so we do it with churches, we do it with businesses, we do it with intimate situations, we do it with
not in the church, Doc.
Churches got problems, man. I'm telling you, churches have problems. Sometimes, listen. And you know why churches have more problems? Because the devil's there. The best way to get people distracted is to throw a little God and a little ego in the mix. Because everybody think they're doing something better than the other person, when in actuality, we all got problems.
Right.
A church is nothing more than a hospital for people who are sick in so many different ways. And some of the sicknesses are visual and some of the sicknesses are private. Those mental sicknesses that people have are harder to see. Lust, backbiting, talking about people, envy. But we see the drug dealers, we see the people in prison, and it's quick to say I'm better than them. But what about what's going on in there every day?
Right.
And so I work with people because the first relationship starts with yourself. And so I help people start with themselves. So even if you're single, even if you're not looking for someone, but you got triggers, and people are like, yeah, I can't talk to you the way I want to, because then I can help you too.
Right. So
the second part of that question, how can you get through to me? You can email me, you can text me. If you're in America, you can call me, leave a message, I'll get back to you. But you can email me. I'm also on Facebook, but if you Google my name, you will see, because I also have I have several YouTube channels, several TikTok channels, several of everything.
Yeah, we gonna post
had to do with
the information again here, so people can kind of see what's going on, where they can hit you. What's a good number to reach you at, Doc? You know, if we
302, and this is for American people now. Now, now hold up. If you're not in America, I'm on WhatsApp, so you can WhatsApp me.
okay.
And I'll get back to you. But let me know if you're not in America, so I don't kill my phone bill. Yeah, yeah. But the number, I'll put it up right now.
Okay.
302 423 7913.
Yeah, for it. And folks, go ahead, reach out. You know, this is great information. We're going into a situation where we're changing the mindset. We're changing how we move. We're changing how we do things. You know, we just went through an election period. You know, where we some relationships was damaged right there during the election, and that's fine if people disagree. We can disagree and still be friends, though, on some things here. But we need to understand that in business and professional, whatever we're going through, whatever we're doing, we have to continue to move forward in that manner to get it done. Make sure that it's done in a decent and respectable way but if you need the counseling, don't deny yourself that opportunity. Don't deny yourself the understanding of what you need. Send an email to Dr. Howell at drsiegfriedhowell@gmail.com. Do those things so it'll be able to be reached and we get it handled. I was just talking to my bonus baby. She just had a next door neighbor where her and her boyfriend live. I mean, the son killed the mom. It was a relationship thing. It was something that happened through all his life. He talked about that stuff. But guess what? It never got to the chance to get some counseling to do it. We're gonna post that coaching and counseling as well if y'all need that, because when you need it, reach out, touch bases. Dr. Howell's gonna get back to you on that. So if we can go ahead and post that MEI coaching and consulting at gmail.com as well. That'd be another great aspect that we have for it. We got his email here. We got the TikTok clapper. Watch some of those videos. Watch some of those diagrams that's going across, because it's so important when we're hurting and we're damaged that we continue to move forward in what we do and what we say. Get the counseling you need. Don't think you can do this by yourself, because a lot of folks believe that, and it don't work out. Dr. Howe sat with us when we had a big event in Philadelphia, and we was getting through some things here, and we really, we was sitting at that table looking at each other, and we're like, dang, I better not say that because how we really felt was never went out.
And it was a little tense in that meeting too when we first started.
Absolutely, it's a little tension because, like you said, our ego was up. I'm supposed to be no. This is mine. I'm the president. I'm the treasurer. All of that stuff came out, but the biggest thing that happened is that we got some things resolved. We understood where we was. We understood that some of us had to move on. We had to get past some things. We had to get through some things and get it going. So, Dr. Howell, man, I appreciate it again that you can come and spend some time with us. If you got some closing comments for us, we're going to go ahead and let you have the floor right now.
I'll keep it brief, man, because my wife said I talk too much. So let me just say this. If you have a team of people that you're trying to get on the same page, bring me in, because we start with you first. Everyone starts from within, before they move out to the synergy. You can't get synergy if you don't understand who you are and what your blind spots are. You know, because some people overestimate their abilities. Some people underestimate their abilities. Some people are smart, but they just don't have the people skills. Some people have the people skills, but they're not smart enough or to get the next person on board. They don't have the lingo. They don't have the verbiage to get the other people on board. And so you might be always trying to get certain people in your group or get certain types of clients, but you may not be capable of it because of the way you come across to other people. And that's why I say it's very important to have those high quality people. So, but if you don't know what your blind spots are, if you don't know what your challenges are, if you're not aware of what your triggers are, it becomes difficult for you to understand what you bring to the table and what you need someone else to bring to the table. And sometimes having someone who doesn't have as much fight in the game or skin in the game tell you what you need to work on or who you need to find to build your team out properly can be the difference between you making $200,000 a year and making $5 million a year. Because the face of the company and how people see that company and how people talk about the company is what gets that company to where it needs to be. Everybody understands Amazon. Everybody understands Walmart. Everybody understands Tesla. I don't understand those new trucks, but but nonetheless, if you're a tree hugging person and you identify with that, then you understand the whole Tesla thing. And so some people are like, oh yeah, I'm replacing all my cars with Tesla. Some people might say, well, I'll get one for the family, but I love my muscle cars. So, you know, but you got to embrace the fact that everyone's not going to be the same. And be okay with differences. Because if all of us acted the same, think about how boring it would be or how loud it would be. If everybody in the room was loud like me, it would be pandemonium. And on the flip side, if everyone was quiet like whoever, it's going to be the most boring room you ever come across. So
right.
Bag of nuts in order to make sure that the world goes around.
And see what happens. So
yeah,
man, Dr. Howell, thank you so much for tonight. You know, man, thank our audience as well for attending. You know, y'all got the contact. We appreciate it. This creative financing with JB, man. We will see you next week. But remember one thing, a relationship is not developed alone. It's a community type of affair. Y'all have a great night. Thanks.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too.